Surya. I'm a PM on Studio, 8th Wall Studio, and I was involved in the image target launch. So very excited to be here with everyone.
Hi,
And I'll
Al.
pass it.
Oh, sorry. I took the pause as, all right, Jameka time. Hi, everyone. Jameka March, your friendly neighborhood partner engineer. I will be leading the workshop. Like what Pablo said, it's easy. It's so easy. I had to make make things more complicated. There we go. So we will get started with an intro from Surya, and then we'll get to building.
So what are image targets? In 8th Wall, image targets are a type of AR experience where a specific image, so this could be flat, cylindrical, or conical, is used as a trigger or a marker to launch and anchor AR content. So here's how it works. You upload an image like a poster, for example, into your 8th Wall project as an image target, and then you add in digital content. So this might be 3D models, animations, etc., and overlay them visually around the image target in the viewport. When a user tests this experience and points their phone camera at that image target in real life, our engine detects the image and overlays digital content on top of or around the image. You can also use the built-in Niantic Studio simulator to test the image target, and the simulator will fire real events. So it's as close as you can get to testing the image target in real life, but like with a faster testing loop. So this allows you as a developer to not have to pull out the image target every single time you'd like to test a small iteration. The AR content also tracks to the image, so if the user moves around or tilts their phone, the content should stay aligned with the image. So in this GIF example, the image target is the cat-themed cereal box, which is a flat image target, and the overlaid content is the flying cereal, as well as the cat head that you see moving around. So if the user moves around, so this in this image target example, the simulator is open, and the user is testing their experience and moving around the image target without ever leaving the application. So the best part is you can do all of this with minimal code. So a lot of it is just drag and drop.
All right, so I shall be taking over just a moment. Gotta share my screens here to get started. If you don't have an 8th Wall account, definitely make that right now. We are going to clone a empty project and start from scratch in our experience. All right, so what are we going to build? Today we are going to learn how to add an image target in Studio. We'll also go over adding clickable buttons that we're going to add to the sides of our image target. And I'll show you some of the simulator improvements that Surya was talking about that'll allow you to actually test your image target in Niantic Studio. And we'll be able to test all of this in the simulator. I happen to just print a little card because I thought it was cool, but you don't need any of that for this workshop. So first off, we'll want to make sure we have all of the workshop asset files before we get started. So Pablo will drop a link into the chat, and it'll contain these 6 different icons that will, or assets that we'll be using. And so we'll give you all a moment to get those, get your empty project started. So you go to 8thwall.com, create a new project, and you'll want to create a new empty project. Clone this. Move Zoom out the way. There we go. And also, definitely, just as a reminder, definitely use the Q&A that we have on Zoom, because we have Surya here. We have other team members from the 8th Wall side here. Ask so many questions. Ask every question you want about Studio or image targets. I'm telling you, image targets are so easy. We're going to zoom through this workshop. So please do use the Zoom Q&A. But if you get stuck in the workshop for whatever reason, whatever you're doing doesn't look like what I'm doing, definitely say something in the chat like, yo, Jameka, hold on. I have a gray screen. What's going on? And I'll do my best to address it. All right, so I got my empty project. We don't need Spox. Thank you for your service, but it's gone. So we have a new project. Very first thing you want to do, you go to your camera and set the type. So click on your camera in the hierarchy, and on the right side in the inspector, under camera type, set this to world because we're gonna have, we want this to be an AR experience. It's not a 3D game, so make sure to change your camera to world. And then in the plus here, click the plus, and we're gonna add a new image target option. Let's see. So we have our image target object in the hierarchy. In the inspector, we have our new image target component that we're going to be adding our image to. So to our next slide, if you take a look down here at the bottom left in our asset section, there's this new tab here called image targets. And this is where we'll be able to see all of our image targets we've loaded into the project. So we located the tab here, click on the plus, and we're going to add a new flat image target. Surya mentioned you could do flat, cylindrical, conical. We're doing a business card, so we're going to do a flat image target. You can't see this screen right now, but I opened up my file manager. I'm going to add the 8W card PNG. That's our image target that we're going to use. There we go. And before you use an image target, I highly, highly recommend testing it first before you make your experience and you find out it's not tracking well at all. So once you have the image target selected after uploading it, click on this new tab here on the top right that says test target. And then we won't quite show this, but you'll grab your phone, scan the QR code here, and it'll launch an experience that allows you to test the tracking against the image. So if you look at the GIF on the slide here, you'll see as I point my phone at the image target, the text at the very top changes from looking for to tracking. And we can see this black border that got placed around the image target, and it says the name of the file. Sorry, just like it says it right there. It says the image that it's tracking. And if you notice, it's a little, it's stable. Let me show you the next slide here. So if we used a bad image target, that black border that we see around the side here would be either flickering a lot or not even appear at all. So let me show you. A good image target has a lot of detail. It has a lot of contrast against like maybe something in the front versus things in the back. While a bad image target, as we see on the right, has a lot of repetitive patterns. Maybe it has a lot of empty space. Maybe it's just a low resolution image. I actually tested the right image on this project before, and it didn't track at all. The black border, as we see in the previous slide, never showed up. It was constantly looking for that image. So that right repetitive pattern is a bad thing to use. All right. So can you all hear me still? I just heard something.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
good.
Yeah, we can
I
hear you.
turned away and I wondered, did my audio cut out? Anyway, we're good. All right. Time to continue after my self jump scare. Setting the image target. Okay, so after we've uploaded our image target in the bottom left section here, remember we clicked the plus, said add flat, and then dropped in the eighth wall card PNG. We're gonna go to image target in the hierarchy, and then on the right side, we see our inspector. And down here where it says image target, click the selector here, and you should be able to see the image target you uploaded. And just as a potential shortcut, you could have just clicked on that selector and clicked add new target. If I told you that, you would never have noticed this new section at the bottom left where you can see all your image targets. So there's two ways to do this if you want to. I see in the chat someone said they didn't get the QR code. Let me just show you one more time. If you just make sure, you might have uploaded the PNG to your assets and it's just a picture there. You want to make sure you go to image targets, not files. So switch to image targets, click the plus. It'll ask you add flat, add cylindrical, add conical. And then from there, if you still don't see the QR code after switching to test target, so just to step it again, go to image targets, click the plus, add your picture, and then on the right-hand side, switch from configure to test target. It should spawn a QR code. If after all of that, it still doesn't spawn a QR code, definitely let us know in chat just to make sure that it's oh, it says got it. Fantastic. Great. Back to where are we? Okay, and then in the hierarchy, we've changed our selector from none to our eighth wall card image. And now we'll be able to add things on top of it. So next we want to add the rest of our files into Studio. So it's going to be 1 GLB, 2 icon PNGs, and 2 TypeScript scripts. So I'm just dragging these 5. Oh my gosh, sorry. I did not switch to files, so it opened all of them in my Chrome. Sorry about that. There we go. And I've now uploaded them all into Studio. Apologies that I am going too fast. We're going to slow down. You know what we're going to do? We're going to add hydration breaks. So I will slow down just a second to allow you all to upload your files.
And if anyone didn't get the files yet in the chat, I will paste them again right now.
Fantastic. All right. The first thing that we're going to do is add the GLB. If you click on the file in the assets, you can actually view a preview of it on the right-hand side here. There's a lot of options here. We don't need to touch any of that. So we'll drag and drop our 8 GLB file as a child of the image target. So anything that's a child, that means that it's kind of a subsection of the image target here. That's what's going to appear once our tracking is found. So if anything, doesn't really matter. I'll drag a asset here on the side. This other 8 that I have here would not be tracked with the image target because it's not apparent. This is just an object in my scene that'll show up in AR. So I don't actually want that. I'm going to keep it as such. And since we want this to pop out of the scene a little bit, I'm just gonna pull it a little forward. I like to 0.2. I like using only 1 to 2 decimal places. So I just want to pull the z-axis a little bit further away from the card so it actually looks like it's popping out of the card. And to be honest, that's image targets. We're going to build and play to make sure it works, but once we test in the simulator, you can track the image and your object appears, and that's as simple as it is, really. We're going to add more things to it, but that is all the steps it takes to use an image target. So I'm going to build, I'll press play, and as I mentioned earlier, if you only see a gray screen here, you'll want to double check that your camera the type is set to world, not 3D. Don't ask me how I know. Next step, so in the simulator, at the bottom left here, we'll see these different scenes that we're able to put in the simulator. It defaults to the sidewalk view, which is great for testing world effects, let's say. But we're actually going to click that, scroll all the way down to see targets, and we're going to switch to our eighth wall target for our simulator. And so since this tracking it tracks really well, you will see our AR object immediately. Let me change the slide. There we go. Oops. Apologies, I didn't write it down. You can use WASD and Q and E to kind of pan the camera, zoom in and out to take a look at it. You can also use your left and right mouse clicks to manipulate the camera and combine those keys as well if you'd like to. But our next step is, let me close the simulator so we have some more space. Sorry, I missed the chat. All right, I think we're good. And in the hierarchy, we're going to actually add one of our new button UI elements. You're not seeing the card in the viewer. You'll, just to double check, in their image targets, we have our 8th wall card, and you have an image target object in your hierarchy, and that's set to the 8th wall card object. And so when you press play, you scroll all the way down, there should be a new target section. If there's absolutely nothing in there, your image target might not be set up properly. So take another look at that, but we'll keep going for now. So in the hierarchy, here we are. We'll click the plus, and you'll go to the UI element section. And then we're going to click on button. And this is going to add us a convenient little button that we can use. So if we look in our hierarchy here, we have our icon and text. We don't need the text. You can keep it if you want. I'm not going to stop you, but we don't need it for this example. We're going to click on the icon and actually change this from the default 8 to either our LinkedIn or email picture. We're going to just do email for this one. So make sure you have your icon selected, not the button, the icon, which is a child of the button. And then under the UI element component here, under color, click on the 8 next to the color, and then switch the icon to email icon PNG. Excuse me. Hydration break. Hold on. All right, good to go. Let's go back to our button. And let's rename this to email button. If we don't do this now, we're just going to have confusion later. So make sure you click on the button in the hierarchy. And then one of the top elements here, if you just click into it, you'll be able to rename it. And next up, let's see, under the UI element component here, we're going to change our width to match our height. So we have a circular button, so just have it be the same value, 36 by 36. Next up, okay, I'm going to do this now. I almost forgot. I'm going to make sure that the email button is a child of the image target, not of the GLB. There we go, of the image target, because if I did not do this, it just won't show up in the simulator because it's not a child of the image target. I almost forgot. It almost got me, but I caught it this time. All right. We got this together, y'all. You all. I'm going. Next up, we moved it a little bit closer. It by default started probably right in the center. I like it negative. I like my numbers symmetrical and even, so I'm going to do negative 0.5 to the left, and then so it's to the left of the center. And my other button is going to be positive 0.5, so it's to the right of the center. Excuse me. You know what? I don't think I forgot anything, and if I did, we will debug it together. So next, we're going to add a custom component that allows us to actually link out to our email or LinkedIn URL with the tap of the button on the screen. So we'll ensure that our email button is selected in the hierarchy. So then come to the inspector, go all the way down to new component, click that, and then go to custom components and select the call to action component file here. And I will briefly show you what that looks like. So this script here, this is pulled directly from one of our samples, call to action, no, our button sample, where it shows you how to link out to buttons in Studio. It's very simple. It takes in a string. If you don't give it one, it just has a default URL, so you have something to use. And then using a state machine here on line 13, we are listening for the event ecs.input.ui click. So once something in the UI is clicked, it's going to follow the link that you provided it. It's very, very simple. So we will want to change this to, if you do mail to and then your email, it'll pop up that device's email client. So it's very, very handy. Support at, should I put George at eighthwall.com? No, I'll put support at eighthwall.com. And let's see. That's good. So now we have our email button all set up as we need it to. We've deleted the text. I don't want the text. You can keep the text. I made the button circular by changing the width and height to be the same value. I changed the icon to my email icon by clicking on the icon, and then under the UI element, changed that 8 image that was here to a envelope. And now I'm going to, instead of doing all that again, I'm just going to duplicate it. So if you click on email button, right click, and then hit duplicate, it will already be a child of the image target. We will want to change this because we don't want to email buttons, LinkedIn button. There we go. I would like this to be exactly to the right of our center here and the same distance as the other button was. We want to change the call to action script here. We'll change the link to your LinkedIn, your website. It doesn't matter what it is, just make sure it's a proper URL. So if you've joined one of my other workshops before, I am terrified of making typos, so I made sure to copy paste this typo-less link. We're good. And then optional, I want to change the color. I don't want both my buttons to be purple. So if you make sure you click on the LinkedIn button, and then under, well, still within the UI element here, under background, you can just click on the color here to open up the color selector. I'm gonna blue. LinkedIn blue looks nice. And good enough. And what I looked at and didn't do, I need to change the icon from the email to the LinkedIn icon. So under LinkedIn button, make sure you go to icon and then click on that envelope, switch it to LinkedIn icon. You're good to go. Next slide, hydration break. Simulator. That's even an even better time for a hydration break. So just double check what we have. We have our image target. One of the children is the 8 here. We have 2 buttons. Email button I've placed slightly to the left. LinkedIn button I've placed slightly to the right. In both of those buttons, there's this custom component call to action that has a specific URL that it will follow once we click on it. So build, hydrate, and we'll test it out. Ha. All right. Press play. And there they are. I will click on the email. Well, I can click on it. You don't see my screen. My email client popped up. Definitely give it a shot. If I click on the LinkedIn button, it'll look like it doesn't work. That's okay. This is expected. The simulator is not a web browser. If you test this on your phone, it will work. This is not allowing you to follow that link in the simulator, but it tried to follow the link, so it is linking out somewhere, but you can't browse the web in the simulator. So that's okay. So our last thing that we're going to do, like ever since we put the 8 in, we finished our image targets. I'm just adding more things to teach you more things about Studio, to get you used to doing different things in Studio. But to me, I want some sparkle. I want some pop. I decided to change the experience so that once we found our target, we don't show everything, have them pop in one by one. So that's what a little bit of extra work is going to do. And let's say you're actually using this business card in a at a GDC, at a different event, something like that, and you have something that is just more than appearing on screen, it's going to look so nice. I'll show you. It's so easy to do this next step. So we'll first make sure we have our image target selected in the hierarchy. Oh, okay, let me tell you how to test on device right now. I'll say it later, but let's just talk about it right now. So just like how we did with the simulator, there's a play button here, but if we scooch over a little bit and click on connect device, it's going to pop up a QR code that you then scan with your phone. And then once that 8th wall experience loads up and you allow it camera access to whatever pop-ups it might say, then you can just point your phone at the image target here that you have in the inspector. Once you click on image target, you can go back to image targets and click on the image target there to have this other view. You can just open the file itself and point your phone at that. If you want to like move the screen around, maybe you can open that file on a different tablet or a different phone or whatever you have. You could run to Walmart and print out a little card. It's whatever you want to do. So to recap, to test it on the device on your phone, instead of clicking the play button here for the simulator, click on connect device and then scan that QR code. Next up, making it pop, we have the image target. All right, so we're going to add a custom component just like we did for these two buttons. We're going to add our custom component to the image target itself. We'll go to new component, custom components, and then business card animations. So I will show you real quick what that even looks like. If you don't code, it looks a little intimidating. It's 73 lines of things, but it's a lot of repetition. It's really simple. So if we look at the schema here, it takes in 3 different entities. One is going to represent the 3D model, which will be the 8. One represents the entity that's our email button, and the last one represents our LinkedIn button. So then we're going to use, just like the call to action, we're going to use a state machine because it's so convenient for listening for events. So our state machine here, even though it's only one state, I love using it for listening to events. So under .listen, we have this global ID, reality.imageFound. Once this event is fired, then it'll execute all of the code under it, or within this listen here. This is what you'll want to use if you want to do any custom code around making something happen once the image is tracked. So I have a little delay const here that I have for determining when we'll spawn the next one. So I have a reference for our model, email button, and LinkedIn button on line 20. And then what the core of it really is, for each one of the buttons, do a scale animation from half its size to its full size using the elastic easing function. That's it. The complication, I suppose, here is this set timeout function. So because I want the buttons to appear after a short delay, we're doing this same code. I'll explain the hidden in a second, but we're doing the same code of scale the animation from for scale animation, the email button this time, from half to full using the elastic easing function, but it's going to appear after a delay of 400 milliseconds. And so once again, we'll wrap the set timeout function around our code for the LinkedIn button. So it's going to take in the LinkedIn button, scale it from half to full with a delay of 800 milliseconds. Obviously, play with it however you'd like. You can change the delay. You can remove the delay. If you want them all to appear at once, you're already done. If you want the 8 to appear and the other 2 to appear afterwards, you change the delay to match or just put the code within the same timeout. So it looks a little complicated. It truly isn't. If you want to play around with it, feel free to. So, but because I want all of my images to pop up when I want them to, not just when the tracking is found, I'm going to actually hide them under the image target. So if you highlight on, let's say, the white GLB here, you see this eye icon. We can actually click it and it'll set that object to hidden. Let's see. And so we'll want to do the same thing for the eye, and then the same thing of the email button, iMail button, and the LinkedIn button, so that by default they're going to be hidden. And once we have our image tracking event fire, then the code will execute, and I'll show you again. The code will execute card animations, and then this line here will remove the hidden component from each one of those things as their time comes. And then there's one more step, very, very, very important. Under the image target, I didn't actually reference which one of the models is model, which one is email button, which one is LinkedIn button. So click on the image target, go down to the business card animations component, and then for model, we'll just click on the selector here, switch to the GLB. For email button, same thing. This is why you needed to name it something descriptive, or else you're just looking at button 1, button 2, and guessing. And then LinkedIn button accordingly. Let me close that. And we have our model email button and LinkedIn button properly referenced here. We have hidden these objects in the hierarchy, and we are good to build and play. Oh, hydrate. What am I thinking? All right. Oh, that was fast. We're okay. We're okay. I'll reset that. If you didn't know, if you click on the looping arrow, the curved arrow up there, you can click that to refresh the simulator view. And we can see there the 8 popped in first, and then the email button on the left, the LinkedIn button on the right. Excuse me. And as I was saying before, if get out of there, I need some space. If we want to go to the script and we wanted the 2 buttons on the side to appear at once, just change the delay, build, play. I see it works. Yay! Can we click on those LinkedIn buttons in AR by hand? Not in the, you have to click on it on your phone to intercept that world space. We don't have a way to kind of detect your hand intersecting with that button. So, but that is a fantastic idea. There we go. Now that I'm not, now that I'm able to look at the screen proper, I'll refresh it to show you one more time. The 8 appears, the 2 button appears. If I click on it, it'll, well, you don't see it, but it opened up my email client. The LinkedIn one, just to remind you, it's okay. You click on it here. It looks like it doesn't work. It tried to follow a link, but the simulator is not a web browser, so it's not going to let you follow that link. Excuse me. Okay. That's it. That's it, everyone. From the third step, we were already done. We just did more things to make our image target pop. So we've learned how to add image targets to our studio project. We've learned how to use some of the new UI elements here. So just to remind you, click on that plus, go to UI elements, and these are the different UI elements you have to play with. And then how to add the scripts to those clickable buttons. So on the phone, if I were to, well, if you look at the GIF in the slides here, on the phone with my other hand, I can click on the green and, not green, the purple and blue icons, and they would open up my mail client on my phone, or it would switch to LinkedIn and open up LinkedIn there. But the view you see there is a screen recording, so. Oh, I see Declan. Definitely plug yourself. Check out Declan's tutorial. It's fantastic. He probably doesn't choke on his drink when he's doing it. I recommend checking that out. Next steps. All right. I kind of cheated. I already told you how to test on your phone. But to recap it, so you'll go, instead of clicking on the plus like you do for the simulator, click on connect device, scan that QR code, and then you're good to test it. And you'll want to be able to, or make sure you go to either image targets and look at this, or open up the file on a phone, a tablet, another, your screen, wherever. Or you can click on the image target itself in the hierarchy. And I highly recommend using your own card, personalizing it, but keep in mind what makes a good image target. We have a link. Actually, I can share you this link to the video. Copy, I can do this. And I should just ask Pablo to do it. What was I thinking? There we go. To just learn a bit about how to how to create a good image target for tracking. Just remember, we don't want repetitive backgrounds. We don't want low, or we want things to contrast very well. So if you look at our image, we have dark colors, we have light colors, we have all sorts of different shapes and patterns that aren't repeated around. And the text here is also quite unique. So whatever you'd like to do, just make sure you test it. And I'm going to go back a little bit. You go to your image target, and then in the inspector on the right-hand side here, click test target. Make sure you test your target before creating your experience, because it'll be quite disappointing if you've designed this really nice, intricate experience and you need to print new cards because it just does not track well. And just as a thought exercise, for a business card, think of what you can do for a business card that you can't possibly do in 2D. So something I think would be really nice is to add a self-introduction video. You can, so if someone scans your business card, you can have a quick 10-second, hey, I'm so-and-so. I specialize in these kinds of things. And I think it would really elevate your business card to have such a thing there. And also, I'm really bad with faces, so I would really appreciate having something like that to remember. Oh, yeah, I remember that guy, Pablo. Pretty cool guy. If you want to learn more about how to add videos into Studio, we have 2 different projects you can look at to get inspiration on how to add it to Studio and make it work for you. All right, what everyone's been waiting for. It is time for Q&A. I will try to catch up on some of the chat I missed, but I'm sure we have a lot of questions, so I will just kick it back to Pablo now.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in with that. I did see a lot of messages in the chat, some saying they got stuck. That's totally fine. We will be posting the recording of this on YouTube so that you all can follow along at your own pace there, along with the Drive folder with all of the documents. So if you missed those downloads, no worries. The YouTube description will have all of that for you all to follow along at your own pace later. So we have a lot of questions, but luckily we have a lot of time. We have 15 minutes, so hopefully that's enough to get through all of these. I did see a lot of questions related to pricing, so we'll try to answer all of that in one when we get to it. So first question is coming from Sasha. Is it possible for us to add sprites to the image targets, like placing planes and then adding GIFs or 2D sprites on them?
The answer is yes, you can definitely do this, and we hope to have this built in the future, adding GIFs or like PNG image sequences, sprite sheets. Right now, this would require some custom code and custom component, but you can certainly do it.
Awesome, thank you for that. And then Dennis has a legal question. I'm not sure if we can fully answer this, as we're not a legal team, but maybe we have some general advice. What is the legal framework around this? Is it allowed to upload copyrighted images as image target and share the experience on a non-commercial basis?
I think it depends whether you're allowed to use that image or not. If this is like an image that you're allowed to use in commercial or non-commercial projects, usually that's specified by the creator of the image.
Yeah, if you can use that image kind of for anything else, I don't see how that would be different for image targets. But we're not the best people to answer this question.
Yeah, agreed. Alrighty, next question is from Tim and has a little bit of an answer from Declan, but love to get this on the recording as well. Is it possible to track multiple objects within the same file? For instance, can I have multiple business cards or front and back image targets trackable within the same experience? If so, is there an upper limit of image targets that can be tracked?
Yeah, I mean, Declan answered this question. He was spot on. You can have 32 in active memory, and you can be tracking 4 in camera view at one time.
Awesome. Thank you. On to the next one. It looks like Evan, you answered this, but can we upload Gaussian splats on top of the image target?
The answer is yes. And Ian Curtis, if you go look on his X, his username is XRArchitect. One of his most recent posts shows a demo where he added a Gaussian splat inside of an image target of it's a image of Stonehenge and then a splat of Stonehenge. So you get kind of like this immersive 3D look into Stonehenge. It's a really cool example, definitely possible and a really cool use case.
Yeah, strongly recommend following Ian, XRArchitect on socials, as he shares a lot of really cool use cases for the product. All right, so next up we have a question from RS. Can your AR experience be downloaded and employed on an independent server without an internet connection? For example, in a showroom where Wi-Fi isn't available? Good question.
Well, our experience is built on the web, so you would need to have a Wi-Fi connection as of now. But as Evan posted, this is something that's on our radar.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, meant deployed. Sorry. Can you change the text on simulation instructions text?
I think this is
Yeah.
referring to maybe like, is this like the kind of like coaching overlay that tells you how to scan an image target?
Yeah,
Uh,
that is.
Yeah, if so, you definitely can. This is just like in a UI element in the scene, so you can go in there and configure the UI element to look and say whatever you want.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Evan. Jason let's see. Oh, this is very specific. I tried using an image target on a 20-foot diameter sphere, but tracking was somewhat unreliable. Is this approach suitable for objects that are large and curved, or would another tracking method be more effective?
Well, our image target experience is built for, flat, cylindrical, or conical shapes. So I would say that the tracking would work best on a flat surface rather than something that is, a curve with a large diameter.
Yeah, like if this was like a cylinder, that would probably work better, but we don't really have spherical image target tracking specifically.
If your object is 20 feet, I feel like
Yeah.
you might be able to have just a focal point that the image target is. You don't want the entire sphere to be a giant image target. That's not a great idea, but I feel like you might be able to have something focal and have objects appear out of or relative to that focal point. If you're trying to literally wrap the sphere, then yeah, a 20-foot sphere at this time is not going to work, but maybe you can focus on something specific on the sphere and have things pop out relative to that location as your origin. So that's what I would recommend trying out.
To add to what Jameka said, if you chose like a focal point, that would probably be a flat image target because it's such a large diameter.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you all. Next up, we have a question from Christopher. It seems like you all have somewhat answered it between Syria, Declan, and Evan, but for the sake of the recording, do you have any concerns about using real-world objects present in the location seen as an image target? For instance, a picture of a tower triggering an 8th wall AR experience. Will this risk a bad user experience that you can explain?
So the way that I read this was like you would want to take a photo of a tower and then use that as an image target, which will not work well because for one, like it's not a static photo. The sky is going to change, like weather is going to change, all of that. So it's not an image that stays the same. Image target is for imagery. If you take a photo of a tower and then print that out, use that as a poster, that's a good image target. But something in the real world, just like a photo of the tower, that is more like location-based AR, something more suitable for VPS.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. All right, next question. How do you make the cat's head follow the cookies?
So in the GIF that I shared, we have a sample project that shows you how to build that out. So I linked the sample project in the Q&A, but I can also link it in the Zoom chat after this. Yeah, thanks, Pablo. Yeah, Evan suggested using the animation component, which is built in.
Awesome, great. Question from Juan. Will QR codes work/scan fine? I already have QR codes. I need to use as triggers to pop up an image of ancient buildings. I think the question is, does a QR code work as an image target, right?
Yeah, that's what I take the question as. But I think, Evan, I feel like you've told me about an experience where people try to use a QR code for an image target and it did not track well. I don't know if you can elaborate there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely depends like on the scale. A small QR code is not a great image target. If you have like a huge QR code and maybe have some like more distinct feature points in it, like sometimes you can add like an image in the center or add some more like graphics around the QR code. That would definitely help you out. A QR code alone is just like black and white. There's not a lot there, but you can add stuff around it and make it a better image target. But wouldn't recommend just using a QR code alone.
Awesome, thank you. Sasha, looks like you had another question, but I'm going to skip it since we already answered one of yours for now, and it looks like you got the answers in the chat from Evan and Declan. So I'm going to move on just for this one. Christopher, did you already have a question answered? I don't know, but this looks like a good question, so I'm going to go ahead and ask. If the user looks at an object in the real world that is flat, cylindrical, or conical, and it is glanced at from a distance or at an angle, how likely is it to work? Is there a minimal presence size in the real world location before it is recognized? For instance, if the cereal box is gazed at from 10 feet away in the field of view.
Yeah, so as long as you're in a reasonable proximity, the like scale of the image target really doesn't matter that much. It's all about kind of how big this looks on the device itself when you're pointing your phone at it. As long as it's not tiny, you're like not super far away, it's gonna work. And Declan added that he has built experiences on large murals and it works great. And he dropped a link to an example.
Awesome. Declan, if you can drop that link in the chat, that'd be super helpful as well. Thank you. Because the links in the Q&A don't actually become clickable. All right. It looks like Antares was asking pricing. If your question is just like, can you use Niantic Studio and image targets and what the pricing is there, that is free, as Evan answered in the Q&A. Let's see. And then we have a couple more questions regarding pricing as regards to like commercial work. We'll get to those at the end. For now, I want to make sure we answer all of the tech-related questions for image targets and Studio. From Lex, in TypeScript, are there any image API hooks exposed so I can know from code if target is found or lost? Is there a code reference for image targets?
Yes, there is an API reference that allows you to track events like image found, image loading, image lost, etc. I think Evan shared it in the chat. Oh, Pablo also shared it in the chat.
Awesome. Cool. Tim is asking, are there other elements of animation available versus the code sample within card animation.ts, like revealing via alpha/transparency?
Yeah, that's a really great question. This would require some custom code right now. Of course, we do want to make this easier in the future. It's not built in, but I have done something similarly. Basically, to do this, if you want to animate opacity of like a 3D object, you'll just need to like update the material of that and set the opacity like 0.9, 0.8, 0.7. We'll definitely make that easier in the near future.
All right. Let's see, any other questions? It looks like someone did miss how they switched from the sidewalk video in the simulator, but that was answered both in the Q&A and the chat. So whoever that is, I hope that you were able to solve for that.
If we have like 30 seconds at the end, I could show it again, or I could show it right now, but
Yeah, let's just show it really quickly. There's also a question regarding like how to get started, but I think for that we'll have to refer to a YouTube video.
all right. So I have my screen here. It probably started off as the sidewalk location. So at the very bottom side here, we could see the little play bar here. Click on the sidewalk, and it's under the world tracking section here. We just want to scroll down to targets, and that'll switch to our image target there. This is what you'd use for testing like face effects, VPS maps. This simulator, this section here to change the pre-recorded video is where you'll also find how to switch to your image target. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jameka. All right. Next question from Josephine. I am keeping an eye on time. Can we add image sequenced animations onto the target tracker, such as PNGs and JPEGs?
Yeah, this is similar to the question earlier about like sprite sheets and things like that. It would require some custom code right now.
Thank you. Oh, wow, this is a good one. Is it possible to create image targets for a 30-page illustrated book, for instance, a comic? Are there limitations on amount of published projects / links?
Well, you can have up to 32 image targets in one project. So you can put them all in one link just to make it easier for the user so they don't have to scan 32 different QR codes.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. But there is no limitation on the amount of published projects that you can have.
Yeah. I will say if your comic, if like each strip contains more than 4 image targets, you can only have 4 in view at a time. So you're gonna have to have it on a separate. You're only gonna have to have 4 on the same page.
Awesome. Thank you both. We are approaching time, and if you have any further questions regarding image targets, please don't hesitate to ask at the forums, forum.8thwall.com, or join the Discord. I dropped the link in the chat. Evan, we had some questions regarding pricing, specifically with like commercial licensing. Is there a general answer that you want to give to that so that everyone has a little bit of clarity there?
Yeah, this is something that like our team is constantly thinking about. We hear your feedback and we are working to improve this. Today, you do need to be on the pro plan, which is $99 a month, and purchase commercial licenses for commercial projects. Although definitely sign up for our newsletter so you can get updates on any pricing changes.